Hello and welcome to the autoX show. Now sit tight and don't go anywhere because on your behalf, Jared has had a very busy week. He checks out a Mercedes-Benz MPV. He rides a brand new, beautiful Italian motorcycle. And he also checks out a very green Bajaj Dominar. But first, here's the Mercedes-Benz V-Class.
The Toyota Innova for so long has been the #1 selling MPV in India. Well, there's a number of reasons for that. It's practical, it's comfortable, and it drives very, very well. There have been some other products that have also come into play, but they've never really been able to replicate the success of the Toyota Innova. And that's with good measure, of course. Well, Kia has now come into the market, and they're offering something a little bit more luxurious than the Toyota Innova. And although the Innova itself is an expensive product, the Kia is even more expensive. The car I'm sitting in right now, though, is luxury redefined for the MPV segment in India. What am I talking about? Well, this is Mercedes-Benz new V-Class, and it's just been launched here in India. However, this is not the first time that Mercedes has brought a product like this to the Indian market. They did so in the past twice, and they failed both times. That's obviously because the Indian market was not ready for a product like this. But the Indian market has grown a lot since then, and we have many products in the MPV segment. This, however, is a massive vehicle. It is over 5 meters long and it weighs over 3 tons. As you can see, it's huge. It's bigger than anything that we have right now on Indian roads. And it's basically a box design. It's a van, let's just say that. Let's just call it what it is. It's actually a van. It's a minivan, no doubt. So the design is boxy, straight lines. The front end does stand out though. It's got the nice grille, nice headlights, nice front bumper as well. And you could find that on any other Mercedes product for sure. But when you get to the midsection and you get to the rear, it's very basic, and that's obviously because it's trying to be practical and it's trying to be convenient. And those are things that was going to make this product sell for sure. And of course, it looks luxurious as well, and it's got the 3-pointed star badge on it. So, we'll get to the front seat later because in all probability, 99.99% of all owners of this vehicle are never going to be seated in the driver's seat. They're probably going to be sitting back here. And well, the rear seats actually are quite nice. It's a Mercedes after all, and it is pretty luxurious. The setup that we've gotten right now from Mercedes-Benz is with all the seats facing each other. You can obviously take out the front 2 seats and turn them around to face the front of the vehicle. But this is set up more for a business environment, as you could imagine. The car is definitely very spacious, lots of headroom, lots of legroom. An interesting fact, right here in the middle, you have this very nice centerpiece that turns into a table. So I could put my laptop here, I could put my coffee here, I've got some cup holders up and down here. So yeah, this is definitely suited for someone who is obviously always on the go and is short for time. So you could even have your own business meetings right here in this vehicle. The overall quality of the cabin is also very nice. You've got some very nice panels here. You've also got 4 speakers in the back, so you can hear your music very nicely and relax. There are also rear AC vents, which you can control, and the doors open with just the press of a button. So it's very convenient and very relaxing back here for sure. But is it really worth the money? I mean, the Innova itself has got plenty of room in it, so does the new Mahindra Marazzo, and the Kia Carnival is also very spacious, almost as much as this. You can also fold these seats that I'm sitting on forward, and you'll have more space in the boot, but all in all, there's plenty of space there as well. Now, the V-Class actually comes in 2 versions. The version we are in is the 6-seater. There's also a 7-seater, which has a row of seats at the back where I'm sitting. This one has got 6 seats, as you can see. It's got 2 right in the front, 2 in the middle, and you can turn around to face forward or backward, and these 2 right back here. Now, when it comes to MPVs and vans, a big concern is the boot space, and well, in this vehicle, it's actually not that bad. It opens up by itself, and there's plenty of room for 2 suitcases easily, or a couple of golf clubs. The centerpiece here also comes up, so you can add some more stuff in there. But inside this is something that's actually very interesting. If you open this, it's got these little plastic sheets that you can actually open up, and you have yourself a nice little basket. So if you're going for a picnic, or you're getting groceries, or even just carrying some paperwork, it comes very handy. Well, now that I'm in the driver's seat of the V-Class, let's just start off with the dashboard design. It's still very much a Mercedes layout, but I do think the center display looks a little outdated. It's kind of small, but overall, it's nice. The design is very nice, luxurious feel all around it. It's got the nice wooden chrome, the round AC vents. It's got the same infotainment system that all other Mercedes have. It's got the nice touch-sensitive touchpad, toggle controls, steering-mounted controls. Interestingly enough, this V-Class also has paddle shifters, which gives it a nice sporty feel, I guess. But starting off, this vehicle does weigh about 3 tons, which is very, very heavy. And when you start off from the line, you can certainly feel that weight. It really does take a toll on this car's acceleration. This car has got a 2.1 liter turbo diesel engine. It gets about 163 brake horsepower and 350 newton meters of torque. Pretty decent figures, but because it's so heavy, the car does take a long time to pick up speed, and there is a very noticeable turbo lag as well. What I do like, however, is the steering is really good. It's been barred over from the C-Class, and it's very direct. It's light, obviously. It's for easy driving. Another thing I really like about this car is the suspension. It's got a great suspension setup, and it takes on anything that comes in your way very smoothly. Obviously, this is an MPV vehicle that is made for people in the back seat, and so if you're in the back having a business meeting or just trying to get some shut-eye, it doesn't matter where you're driving, you'll feel comfortable all the time. It's a very pliant ride. The refinement is beautiful, so it's a very well-built car, of course. But I just want to say, the Kia Carnival, which is this car's closest competitor, actually has a 2.1 liter engine as well, and it gets much more horsepower, and the car weighs a little less. Even the Toyota Innova, it's got a 2.4 liter engine, and that's got more horsepower than this, and that feels like a much better driving vehicle. Actually, it's not even a shocker, to be honest. This car is so big, you can't really complain about it, to be honest. It's very long, but at the same time, it's very manageable to drive. It's you don't get a sense of how big it really is because you're sitting up high. It's very comfortable. The seats are very comfortable. So all in all, it's a very nice vehicle to drive, but it's not going to be, you know, like a very engaging, fast, fun vehicle, and that's obvious. This is a van, so let's not even go there. So I'm trying to wrap my head around the price of this V-Class. Currently, right at the bottom end, you've got the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga, which comes for about 8 lakh. Then you've got the Mahindra Marazzo, which also comes for about 12 lakhs. And then you've got the Tata Hexa as well for about 15, 16. The Toyota Innova, of course, which is the benchmark for this segment, comes at around 25 lakh for the top end variant. And then if you want to get really luxurious, you have the Kia Carnival that's coming in. And that's going to be priced between 30 and 35 lakh as well. The V-Class, however, is priced at 85 lakh rupees. Now that's a huge jump in price. Is it really worth it? To be honest, the Kia Carnival has got everything going for it. It's luxurious, it's comfortable, and it drives very, very well as well. The V-Class has got a lot going for it as well. It's obviously got the badge on it, which is what's going to draw everyone towards it who have the money to spend on a product like this. But in all honesty, this car, it drives decently, I would say. It's not uber luxurious. It does have some very nice features, of course. The kind of customer that's going to be attracted to this obviously is going to be either corporates or high-end travel companies, maybe wedding planners. I really don't see families buying a vehicle like this for that kind of a price. So yeah, let's say if they want to go on a long road trip, you could go for a nice luxury SUV instead. For the same price, it'll drive better, it'll seat 7 people, and it'll be very comfortable as well and carry all luggage that you'll have. So yes, this is a very niche product. Whether it will sell or not, we'll have to find out. But in my humble opinion, I don't see us seeing any of these models on the road very soon.
Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, Jared checks out the updated Bajaj Dominar. Welcome back to the AutoX show. Now any new bike from Bajaj is big news. So here's Jared with the 2019 Bajaj Dominar 400.
So I still remember the first time that I saw Bajaj Concept, the CS400 at the Auto Expo show. It was in 2014. That was a while ago, but the concept stood out even then. The bike looked beautiful, and when the Dominar finally came out, the bike still resembled a lot from that concept design. It's a very nice compact machine, and it looks amazing on the road. It's been a long time since the Bajaj Dominar has come out into the market, and the competition has gotten a lot more competitive. Between the 250 to 400cc segment, there are so many motorcycles. In fact, Bajaj has given me this sheet paper right here, which notes out all the new features and specifications of the new Bajaj Dominar. And right at the end, they've pointed out the specifications of every other model in that segment. Now, if I count all of them, there are 15 motorbikes in this segment now. That's amazing. That just shows how far the Indian market has gone in terms of motorcycles being offered to the masses. And now, Bajaj has upgraded the Dominar, they brought in a new engine, it's got more power, and we're gonna see if it's just as good as it was before. The first generation Dominar looked good, no doubt, but the little changes that have now been added make the new Dominar look even better. The bike still gets the muscular and compact power cruiser design on the perimeter frame. The other changes include an upside down 43mm front fork that adds some muscle and strength to the bike's character. And there is now a dual exhaust setup. The headlight has also now become more compact. The bike looks as good as ever, and that's one of the plus points of the new Dominar. It still gets massive 320mm single disc at the front, and it still gets the chunky 17-inch alloy wheels. The instrument cluster is digital, and the secondary info unit on the fuel tank is now also LCD. So now the main changes to the engine, it's gotten more power, and instead of a single overhead camshaft, it now gets a dual overhead camshaft. That means the intake and the exhaust valves each get their own camshaft. The cubic capacity still remains the same at around 373 cc. The power has also been bumped up to 40 bhp instead of the original 35. The torque remains the same at 35 Nm, but overall the engine has been improved a lot. You can really feel that power when you're riding on the road, and it fits in very nice and compact into this frame, as you can see. And overall performance has been great, and the vibrations have also been reduced quite a bit. The new engine definitely feels more powerful. Although initial acceleration feels more or less the same, you can really feel the difference in the mid-range and the top end of the revs. Cruising on highways is now more enjoyable, and you can draw out a lot more from the engine. The new dual exhaust also sounds much better. After riding the bike for a couple of hours and pushing it hard, I have to say the power delivery is very good and enjoyable. The overall refinement has also been slightly improved, but not much, as some people might still say the engine is rough. But I never found a problem with the old Dominar either. The focus point of the new Dominar, however, has to be the handling. The 43mm upside down forks really have done wonders to the way the bike performs. The steering feels a lot more responsive, and there's a lot more feedback as well. The front wheels stay well planted, and changing direction quickly is easy. The rear suspension is the same as before, and Bajaj told us they have made it softer, but I couldn't make out the difference. When we did take the bike on the rough stuff, it still feels a little too stiff, especially at the rear. But then again, this is a power cruiser and not a trail rider. Still though, if you do decide to go off-road once in a while, it was pretty decent. Thanks to the tall handlebar, you can stand up comfortably. The seating position is also very nice. It's a cross between a tourer and an aggressive naked bike, and it will suit almost anyone's riding style. The Bajaj Dominar has gone a long way since it was brought to the Indian market. The competition has increased a lot. Its own sibling, the KTM Duke 390, is still the best bike in this segment in terms of performance, in terms of overall riding quality. This bike here, the quality still isn't as good as the other competition, I would say, but nonetheless, at its price point, it's just a very good product. I mean, you've got the CB300R that's just come in as well, and that's more expensive than this. You've got the TVS Apache that's been here for a while, the 310 that's been here for a while now. That's also a very good product. Then, of course, you have the Himalayan, and you've got so many other things to choose from. But if you want a nice power cruiser that can do anything, I would say that the Dominar 400 still is a top contender. It's a very good machine, so you might want to head down to your nearest Bajaj dealership and go for a test ride, because I'm sure you'll be very impressed with this machine.
Now, the Geneva Motor Show has been very interesting for the Indian manufacturers. Tata Motors had 4 global reveals, starting with the Buzzard or the 87X, which is a 7-seat version of the Harrier. It's longer by 62mm to accommodate a third row of seats, and it'll be fitted with a more powerful version of the 2-litre FCA-sourced diesel engine, as well as a 6-speed automatic gearbox. They also showcased the Altroz and the Altroz EV, Tata's upcoming premium hatchback. And like all recent Tata products, it's quite the looker. When it's launched later this year, it'll compete with the Hyundai i20, Honda Jazz and Maruti Baleno. And you can expect an all-electric version at some point in the future by the looks of it. Their final reveal was the H2x Concept, which forms the basis of a new compact SUV that will debut in 2020. It's based on Tata's Alpha modular platform, which is the same as the Altroz. So clearly, a lot going on for Tata Motors at the moment. Now, Mahindra-owned Pininfarina, which is a famed Italian design house now turned automaker, unveiled what is unquestionably the showstopper at Geneva this year, the Battista. It's an absolutely stunning, new-age, all-electric hypercar that costs 2 million euros, produces the equivalent of almost 1900 horsepower and will accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour in under 2 seconds. That's faster than an F1 car. Needless to say, Anand Mahindra must be very proud. Right, now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we check out a beautiful Italian motorcycle. Welcome back to the AutoX show. Now you know the Indian market is evolving very quickly indeed when you get your hands on a unique motorcycle like this. Here's the FB Mondial HPS 300.
When you think of Italian motorcycles, you obviously think of Ducati, MV Agusta, and Aprilia. Those are the 3 major manufacturers we have today, and they're all beautiful machines. Well, Italy's also known to have a few smaller ones as well, and FB Mondial is one of them. What is FB Mondial? Well, to be honest, even I had no idea who they were or where they were from till a few months ago when they were brought to India by Motoroyale. FB Mondial has actually been around for a very, very long time. Their history goes way back, and they were around till the 1960s, and they actually won a few world championship races in motorsport. They dominated for a long time, but like all other Italian manufacturers, they struggled and they were out of business. However, they were resurrected once again, and now they're back. And their first product here in India is the HPS 300, or the Hipster 300 as they like to call it. Now, the FB Mondial is a low-capacity machine. But when you look at the design of this bike, it actually looks very, very nice, as you would expect from an Italian manufacturer. You can see it almost looks like a custom motorcycle instead of a mass-produced one. Well, this one is a cross between a cafe racer and a scrambler. The cafe racer design of the bike you can see from its general outline. You've got the nice low handlebars, the narrow fuel tank, the low seat, and overall a very nice sporty body. But then the scrambler elements come into play when you have this nice side-mounted dual machine gun exhaust and these nice chunky knobby tires. Well, the front tires are 18-inch on spokes and the rears are 17-inch on spokes, which gives it that nice retro design. Overall, the bike looks phenomenal as you could expect, but upon closer inspection you can see the quality is just not there. You have this plastic, soft plastic lining around the fuel tank. The nuts and bolts really stick out and they're not very well bolted on. Overall, it really looks like it's more of a handmade machine in a small garage instead of a factory. But in general, it's a great looking motorcycle. There's nothing out there that looks like it, and it definitely gets heads to turn and you get attention wherever you go. However, this is a very small motorcycle, and for someone like me, it is not the most comfortable to ride. The seating position is a little aggressive. You have the foot pegs that are right underneath your bum. You are in a crouched out position, so it is sporty, but the seat's not the most comfortable, and the entire frame is just way too small for someone like me. If you're between 5'2" and 5'8", it might be more suitable for you, but if you're 6 feet and above, you don't even want to get on this bike, to be honest. It's very uncomfortable. It also gets 41mm upside down forks, which adds a little bit of that chunkiness in the front, and it also gets disc brakes. And ABS does come as standard as well. It also gets a nice retro style round headlight. So it's got a lot going for it, but how exactly is this bike to ride? The dimensionally small HPS 300 also gets a small engine. The single-cylinder 249cc engine packs about 22 bhp and 22 Nm of torque. That sounds pretty sweet, especially since the bike weighs only 130 kilograms. But, to my amazement, I was really disappointed with the engine. Personally, I rarely complain about the lack of power from any motorcycle engine, but with this Mondial it's different. You see, all that power is only accessible at the top end, and you don't get any bite from the engine anywhere at the bottom end or the middle revs. Acceleration is rather slow and lazy, and the throttle is also not responsive. Power really kicks in about 4000 RPM. The 6-speed transmission though is pretty nice, and the gear shifts are pretty slick. However, the gear ratios are way too tall, and you'll find yourself downshifting a lot, especially in city traffic. The clutch is also light, and if you are an easy rider, then you might be a little more satisfied with this engine than I was. Today in India alone, there are many other motorbikes you can choose from in this segment that have much better engine performance. The overall engine refinement isn't that bad, but it's not great either. There are a few vibrations felt at the high rev range. It is pretty efficient though, and I managed to average about 27 kilometers per liter. The HPS 300 is very light, and the seat is pretty low as well. The seating position is also on the aggressive side, as you are crouched on the bike. But this doesn't mean that the bike won't handle well. In fact, the HPS 300 handles really well. Thanks to the big 41mm upside-down forks and the gas-charged rear springs, it feels pliant and planted on the road at all times. It is very easy to shift your weight and change direction. The double down tube frame has great potential and can easily handle more than what the engine has to offer. I guess it's true then, that all Italian bikes handle very well. The brakes are also quite nice and ABS comes as standard.
So there you have it. The FB Mondial is a great looking machine. It definitely caters to a very niche segment. However, it just doesn't have the performance, and it's not a great all-round machine. It's priced pretty expensive as well. It's about 3.4x showroom in Pune. So that's very expensive. You now have in this segment about 10 other products you could choose from that perform much better, are better quality, and also are a lot more practical and usable. The only thing Italian about this machine really is the design. So the FB Mondial is a very good looking machine, no doubt, but to ride, I'm sorry to say, it just doesn't shine at all, to be honest. The bike does get you a lot of attention wherever you go. It looks like a very nice, beautiful custom machine. So if you want to show off on a nice Italian bike and have bragging rights that you have one of the few FB Mondial bikes out there in India, well, then this bike's just for you. However, if you're looking for performance, there's so many other bikes out right now within this segment that offer you way more power, better handling, better comfort, better quality. So yeah, you might as well just look elsewhere if you want performance, but if you just want to get noticed or you want to collect a motorcycle, the FB Mondial is not a bad choice.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on social media for your daily dose of all things automotive. And remember, it's chaos out there. So always buckle up and wear your helmets. We'll see you again next weekend on the autoX Show.